today we're going to be looking at the new best controller setting. And I'm also going to take you guys through the controller settings tab so you guys know what each controller setting actually does and if you should use it or not, or what value you should set it at. And as always, if the video is helpful or you find yourself enjoying it, then please go ahead and drop a like on it. It really does help a lot. And if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with that. Let's just check out some of the controller settings. So if you've never really looked through these sorts of controller settings, then there's probably some important stuff that you're missing out on. Toggle sprint and sprint by default are perfect examples. If you're toggling sprint, every time you want to sprint, you actually have to click in L2. But with the sprint by default, all you have to do is click your L2 forward and you'll automatically start running. You don't actually have to click it in or do any of that. So not only is that just generally helpful to not have to click a button down the sprint, but that also means it frees up L2 for a different bind. Some other of my settings, I have sprint cancel reloading off and I have auto open doors on. That's something that I just turned on not that long ago. And really the main reason for me to turning that on is for edits like that. So if you accidentally mess up an edit when you're meaning to go for a bottom right 3 and you accidentally only hit the bottom 2 and there's a door, if you don't have this on, you're just gonna run right into it and it's gonna stop your momentum. So having that auto open doors on just lets you run straight through the door and you can just carry that momentum in your fight so it never messes you up. Auto pick up weapons I've recently turned on, and with auto picking up weapons there's some pros and there's some cons to it. The biggest pro to this is when you're landing on a drop contested, especially in like arena or a competitive playlist. A lot of the times I found myself losing that battle even if I get to the gun first. By the time I actually was able to click square to pick up the weapon, the other player had already gotten it. So auto pick up weapons basically just means when you run over the weapon you're going to pick it up. So this is really helpful for those sorts of situations. However, if you don't have full inventory, it does pick up just anything you run over, so it is kind of annoying in that regard, but I think it's worth it. I don't have auto sort consumables to the right on because I use preferred item slot. So in slot 1 I have shotgun, 2 SMG, 3 I have consumable items, then I have my sniper bow, and in 5 I have my assault rifle. And I might be a little biased, but I think that this configuration is the best possible configuration. It just makes sense to me. Now for building, you should definitely probably have reset building choice on. I think pre-edits are pretty pointless. There's some people use them for like unique things, but I think in general, just playing, you should probably have it turned off. Turbo building you obviously want to have on. Confirm edit on release, I made a whole video on this versus double edit binds, and I still think that confirm edit on release is better. I just think that in general it's way easier to use and it's way easier to learn. For the large majority of people, I just think it's better. Plus for some reason, some people think that if you have confirm edit on release turned on, you can't edit fast, and that's obviously not the case. As far as extra game options go, one setting that I really like is tap to search and interact, which basically means instead of like holding when you're searching a chest or reviving someone, all you have to do is tap the button and then you can let go and it'll automatically keep reviving or keep searching the chest. For audio settings, I do use high sound quality. I think it's a lot better. Okay, visualize sound effects. This is an option that I see a lot of players using, and from the last time I looked into visual sound effects, by turning this on, it actually changed how you heard things. So like there would be no spatial audio. If there was someone like above you, just by using the audio, you wouldn't be able to tell that they're actually above you. So I would suggest if you have a proper headset, I think having visualized sound effects off is your best bet. So those are kind of just like all the random settings, and those are what I have mine at. But now let's hop into what I think the best controller settings specifically are. I've been using these settings for a couple weeks now and I'm really liking them. It's a 2.0 build sense and a 2.1 edit sense. These are definitely on the lower side. I'm able to be so consistent on them and they're just nice. I like the little slower of a build and edit sense. In edit sense, I just have 0.1 higher because it's not a terrible thing to be able to move your edit crosshair a little faster. I think compared to my last settings, I was at a 1.9 build and edit. So to go up to a 2.0 and 2.1, I'm getting a little more comfortable with turning these up a little higher. Look sense is pretty average at 43% for both horizontal and vertical. I find this to be the perfect speed to still be comfortable like looking around while you're rotating in game and being able to be aware of things. But then at the same time, you're able to take those non-ADS shots with like your shotgun or your AR, and you can still be accurate just non-ADSing by having a 43% look sense. And basically every pro controller player uses around that. Then as far as turning boosts go, I don't use any of them. So if you don't know what the turning boost actually does, basically if you're just gonna move your stick a little bit and not have it pressed all the way to the side, you're gonna move at your normal look sense. However, the boost applies when you push your thumbstick all the way to the right. That's when it triggers the boost, and it basically just gives you a speed boost when your thumbstick is all the way to the side. So there's only a couple controller players that use boost, and even then they only use about 2% for each boost. So it's super insignificant and you should probably just have it at 0%. That's That's what I use, and that's across the board. That's for all my look turning boosts and all my ADS turning boosts. Your instant boost when building setting doesn't matter if you have all these at 0 anyway. Then we get to the ADS sense, and I'm pretty low on my ADS sense at only 7% for both horizontal and vertical. There was a video not too long ago where I tried, I think his name was Cash. I tried his setting. He's like second in hype points for the arena leaderboard at some ridiculous number, like over 200,000. And I used his settings not too long ago, and he was at a 6% ADS. And I just found myself hitting so many like heavy hitting shots with that 6% sense. So ever since then, I think about a 7% ADS sense is literally perfect, because not only do you hit heavy hitting shotgun shots, with an AR, you're able to track people so well with this low of an ADS sense. So I honestly see no reason to go any higher than like a 7 or 8% on ADS. My 7% has given me really good aim. Your look dampening time is kind of interesting because it sort of functions like exponential does in the way that it takes time before it actually reaches its max peak. However, it doesn't necessarily start off really slow and then ramp up and get really fast. You're increasing your speed linearly. So like if I set this all the way at the max to 1 second, it'll take me exactly 1 second of holding down my stick all the way to reach that maximum speed. However, the amount that it's going up by is constant throughout the entire time. So it's kind of confusing, but there's really not many controller players that actually use a look dampening time. Most players like that really linear feel that as soon as you move your stick, whether you move it a tiny bit or you move it a ton, it's moving at the same speed the entire time. It's way easier to be more consistent and know exactly where to move your stick. So I think the highest any controller player uses is scoped, and he uses a 0.07, I'm pretty sure. And then I'm pretty sure that any other controller player that uses it is at about a 0.02 or a 0.03. So it's literally like basically next to nothing. I just think it's better to have it off and have a constant speed that you're always moving your crosshair at. Then obviously I was just talking about linear. The majority of pro controller players are using linear. I personally think it's a way better input. My dead zones are another something that I've changed since my last settings video, and I've actually went up a little higher. Before I was at like a 4 and 5%, but I've went up to 9%. I think for most controller players, you're gonna be safe anywhere from about 9 to 12%. Anything higher than that, you start to feel like almost input delay, and going much lower than that, you start to get that stick drift. Then I haven't really talked about my binds much recently. So if you didn't know, I actually play with 4 paddles. So for my typical binds, the only things that are really changed, I use an L3 crouch and repair. I have my map on touch mode, and then switch mode, I use an R3. Edit and jump are actually 2 of my paddles, so I have edit on my top right button, and I have jump on my top left button. And then my pickaxe is actually another one of them. That's my bottom right button. Build control is pretty standard. I change materials and traps with my touchpad. And then for edit, like I said, I do have confirm edit and release turned on, and then I just select with a default R2. I do still have this bottom left paddle, which I didn't tell you guys what the function was, but I have my strike back set up on a double action bind. So I was able to set it as both reset and confirm. So anytime I reset a build, all I have to do is click my edit button, and then I just click that, and it both resets and confirms my build. And if you've seen my resets, they're pretty quick, and that's why, because I literally only have to click 2 buttons to be able to reset my build. And I think the only way to show you guys how good these controller settings actually are is to actually go in and just play Fortnite. And there we go. I'm telling you, this ADS sense is actually so good. Absolutely beautiful. From the piece control to the actual aim, everything is just so nice. It flows so well. It's so smooth. It's so consistent. If you guys actually end up using these settings, I need to know, because I feel like they really are just so good. So I think with that, I made literally both of them back out. We're gonna end it there. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in a future video.